Hey, welcome back to Rangan's podcast. I'm Dinesh Ragi. Today we're going to preview the squad for the second test, the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Obviously, since the first test, it's a long break, and we understand the circumstances. Given the second test, there's going to be day-night test played in Adelaide with the pink ball. So I see, the way it was scheduled, obviously having a warm up in between could have benefited India. Unfortunately, for the visitors, uh, day one of the 2 day warm up, was ruled out, without a ball being played. But I'm hoping, there's going to be, some game for the day two, and I think from what I'm reading in, Cricket Info and a couple of the places, they might potentially do like more like a 50 over game, given India would have an opportunity to kind of both bat and bowl in the second innings. Anyway, bringing the focus back to the second test that's been going to be played in Adelaide, probably in like in a few days time on the 6th of December, which is like a few days from now. It'll be interesting. Obviously, like I said, at the top of the call, it's going to be a day and night test being played with the pink ball. That'll kind of spice things up a little and make it a little bit more interesting. Um, and so for someone like in Australia, the home team here, who has a better experience, playing under the lights, they play pretty much like for the last few years, all their home series. They always make sure there's at least one test played, with the pink ball under the lights. So, they have better experience, kind of facing the pink ball under the lights, and obviously compared to someone like India who only managed to play like one home conditions and probably one in the away conditions, they might not be as comfortable as Australia. Nevertheless, Indian camp are much more composed and relaxed, especially after what we've seen in the first test. Kind of coming over to Australia, playing on those bouncy pitches in Perth, and being able to come out on top and starting the tour on a high gives the Indian camp a lot more belief and confidence going into the second test. And obviously, to add to that, we kind of know by now that both the skipper Rohit and Shubman Gill will be back in the mix, which will only help the Indian top order batting. Obviously, first test we've done relatively well, especially the second innings, the way Jaiswal and KL Rahul kind of bounced back, build that like 200 plus partnership. That really is kind of set the platform for India, and obviously King Kohli scoring like the big ton, his 30th. Kudos to him. We're really high on confidence, and obviously now I don't think I've ever thought of saying this in the past, but I think over the last 4 to 5 years, I can confidently say, we're no longer a team that's purely dependent on our batsmen to score 500-600 runs because we didn't have the bowling to probably pick 20 wickets. But all of that has changed, with the likes of Bumrah, Siraj, Shami, Akashdeep, now Rana, and Ishan probably a few years ago. Uh, yeah, I think we have the bowling now. We can now confidently say that India has the bowlers to go play in any conditions and kind of pick 20 wickets. I think we have that world class bowling attack, and the world cricket started to take notice of it. It's no longer a case where batsman does all the bulk uplift, and then bowlers kind of chip in here and there and only kind of manage to help India win in home conditions. Now I think we have the pace attack to go play in all the overseas conditions and kind of face any team, any conditions, and still manage to pick the 20 wickets if need be. Which I think it's great sign for Indian cricket, and something that's not going unnoticed at the moment. Anyway, quickly looking at the squad, right, in terms of the playing 11, from an Indian standpoint, like I think the squad kind of picks its playing 11 by itself. Like I pointed out, right, Rowe and Gill back in the mix. So, that kind of unfortunately leaves someone like Padikkal and unfortunately Jural out of my playing 11. Uh, I think Rohit, will probably walk in at that opening slot. He'll probably just partner with Jaiswal, who has been a great Nick. I mean, that 170 that he scored in the second innings of the first test, uh, kind of puts things in terms of perspective, in terms of like in his confidence, and how well he's managed to establish and adjust to the conditions in Australia, especially the way he managed to like leave the ball outside the off stump. He didn't kind of go to his normal or general aggressive state of mind. He managed to respect the ball, leave it outside the off stump, and obviously being having KL on the other end, like he was pointing out in some of his interviews post the game, really benefited him. A lot of confidence kind of taken from the first test. So yeah, Jaiswal. It only helps someone like Rohit, right? Obviously, he's had a little break. Family event coming back to the squad. Didn't really get a nick with the warm-up game that's supposed to happen. You might have a bat here and there, but playing in nets versus playing in test conditions is different. But again with Jaiswal's form, that'll probably help ease someone like Rohit to buy his time and ease into the test. So yes, in terms of the top two, it'll be Rohit and Jaiswal. Gill takes a number three. He's done exceptionally well for us at number three over the last couple of years, especially 2024 has been great for him. So yes, as long as he's fit, he'll be my number three. King Kohli, no questions there. He's my number four, followed by Pant at number five. And unfortunately for Rahul, who has done so well in the first test, might have to slot into that middle order. And we kind of know that in the start of the series that Rahul will primarily play as a middle order batsman to lower orders. Yeah, he'll probably take my number six. Followed by number seven would be my all rounder. I'd still stick with Washi. Washington Sundars, he can purchase some bounce on these pitches. And more importantly, his confidence, right? He's had an exceptionally great home series in India. He's high on confidence. And I personally would always go with someone, in terms of their form rather than experience, being at the top of his game. He's had a good couple of years with the side, and obviously the last 4 to 6 months has been exceptionally well for him. So I definitely back him to continue the form. So he'll probably get my nod for number seven. Number eight, no doubt there. Nitish Reddy, what a start to his test career. The way he batted, and obviously he chipped in with the wicket as well. That only helps his confidence. So definitely gets my nod for a number eight with Nitish Reddy. Bumrah, the goat. No questions there. The way he's bowling at the moment, I don't think there's anything that could stop him from going on and achieving better things for personally himself and also the Indian and the Indian cricket. So yeah, Bumrah. Nine, Siraj, again, someone coming into this series might not be his best in terms of his exploits in the home conditions, but coming in that first test, he looked little edgy in the first innings, but I think second innings, he seems to have found his mojo, kind of supporting well Bumrah, and definitely picking those couple of wickets would only help with his confidence. So yeah, Siraj would still get my nod, and given the day and night test, there'll be some swing. So I definitely lean towards Siraj to continue and take the number 10 spot. Number 11, again, credit to Rana, been his first test debut in Australia, kind of playing on the bouncy wickets. I know, if you look at the numbers, he may not have picked as many as wickets as someone like Bumrah Siraj did, or consider a lot more runs, unlike the other two. But again, that's what he brings to the table, right? He might be someone who would probably consider more runs, but then he's someone who's a wicket taker, and we've seen that in IPL as well. He'd probably concede a bit more runs in the squad, but then he'll always get you wickets. So definitely, Rana can be considered for my number 11. But personally, for me, I do also want to look at someone like Akashdeep. I think he's someone who can swing the ball. And like I said, unfortunately, we still don't have Shami in the mix for this test. knock on wood, he'll probably be back in reckoning for rest of the remaining three tests. But yeah, I personally would like to see Akashdeep, have a go in the second test. He'd probably be better suited for that, day and night conditions and with the pink ball. But yeah, so Akashdeep sort of gets my call not over someone like Rana. So that's my playing 11. The only change, obviously, Rohit and Gill walking in for the Padikkal and Jurel. And then, maybe Akashdeep in place of Rana. Quickly looking into the Australia playing 11. Again, a lot of questions, right? So unfortunate for Australia. Obviously, losing your first home test is never ideal when starting a massive series like the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and then then losing your quick bowler, your best bowler in Test One, which is obviously Hazelwood, and him not being part of the second test, it's not going to help in the Australian camp. He was his form was apart from the rest of the squad. Like he got those wickets for them, at the top of the order with the new ball, and he was consistent. Like he just continued throughout the test, just kind of not like giving away many runs and being able to put pressure on one end. So losing someone like him in the second test is not ideal. But obviously injuries, yeah, you can't control them. So that kind of leaves someone like Scott Boland to kind of probably walk into the playing 11. He is almost a like to like replacement like Hazelwood. He can obviously piss the ball up, swing the ball. My only concern is, like I pointed out, the consistency that Hazelwood brings. That's something Australia might lack with Boland. But again, he has experience, home conditions. He's been there. He played some of those day and night tests for Australia in the past. He might not be a bad option given where Australia are at the moment. But obviously, a lot now kind of depends on the likes of Stark and Cummins. Like we saw in the first test, especially in the second innings, Stark, sort of started looking in the rhythm. He's been bowling in that high, high to mid 140s. And but obviously, he needs a massive support, and I think that needs to come from Pat Cummins, being the skipper, and obviously, it's a lot pretty kind of going into the second test. But also, he's someone who will be exceptionally well, who will do exceptionally well with the pink ball. So yeah, I'd kind of look at Cummins and start to kind of step up in the second test, and probably just the bulk of the uplift in the absence of Hazelwood. And then obviously Lyon kind of keeps a spot. His experience will be crucial for Australia going into the second test. Let's quickly focus on the batters, primarily the top order for Australia. McSweeney, I think personally, unfortunate for him, to kind of debut in a test series like this, especially with the way India and Bumrah has been bowling. It's hard for someone to walk into a big series like the Border Gavaskar Trophy and the sort of bowling attack that India possesses, and to add to his for someone like McSweeney who's never played in the top of the order for him to debut and kind of also sort of take the strike versus Bumrah is never ideal. But I think he still has the potential. Looking at some of the stats and so I still probably look for him to be in the playing 11. But if I was if it was for me to pick the squad, I'll definitely still play McSweeney. But the only thing I'd probably look at is maybe have someone like Kawaja kind of take strike against Bumrah. He should be the opener. He's the senior batsman. He played in this condition. He played this bowlers in the past. I'd if I was Kawaja, I'd take the strike as much as possible. Allow someone like McSweeney to settle in, and probably not have to start off facing someone like Bumrah. So he can probably be the non-striker. probably allow him to settle his nerves. Not that it's going to be any easy with facing someone like Siraj, when the ball's swinging, but I personally don't think it's as intimidating as facing someone like Bumrah, and the name itself kind of gives you shivers at the moment for a lot of good experienced top order batsman. So for someone like McSweeney, it only makes it that extra bit harder. So yeah, I'd probably look at Kawaja to take the strike as much as possible and allow McSweeney to settle in and play his natural game. But yeah, he'll definitely be at top of my order. If they want to swap it around a little bit, I'd probably even look at Head. We've seen how well Head batted Travis Head in that second innings, scoring the 100. If I wasn't for Bumrah, I think he was all destined to score a century. Again, Bumrah with his magic managed to pick the wicket. But yeah, Head seems to be back where he belongs, and he looked a lot more confident. He was playing his shots. Even he is another option to probably going up the order. That would allow someone like McSweeney to kind of play in the middle order where he might be more comfortable and not necessarily having to face the brand new pink ball. So definitely something for Australia to kind of explore. But yeah, McSweeney in terms of the playing 11 would definitely keep his spot. Abhishan at 3, and then Steve Smith at 4, who might have to do a lot of uplifting for Australia to kind of stand any chance to win this test or even the series. These two needs to come to the party as soon as possible and probably to bulk of the scoring. Yes, number 5, depending on what happens with McSweeney, if he's opening, then obviously Head keeps his place at number 5, or if they swap, then Head can go at the top of the order with McSweeney batting at number 5. Or if they decide to promote Head up the order, and they can also explore it someone like Josh English to walk in place of McSweeney. But personally, for me, I'd still give McSweeney another chance and allow him to make a spot for himself in the squad, if not in the playing 11. But yes, so that's my number 5, and number 6. Would have been good to see continue to persist with Mitchell Marsh. Again, kind of what I'm reading is Marsh might not be fit enough to play in the second test, so they're bringing in a replacement in the form of Webster. Personally, given it's a long series, a long summer for Australia, so I wouldn't really push for someone like Mitch Marsh if it's not 100% to kind of play in the second test. But also from an Australia standpoint, trying a new phase, it's not a bad idea. He might provide you that X factor, that motivation that this squad needs at the moment. So I definitely sort of explore to have someone like Webster to walk into that squad. Again, personally, I don't really know much about Webster. I haven't seen a lot of what he brings to the table, but at least going by his age and the amount of time he's been around and what he's done in the first class circuit, looks to be a good replacement, and probably like to match for a yeah Smith Marsh. So yes, probably Webster might get number 6, and then number 7. Again, I'll continue to stick with Alex Carey. He definitely showed some promise in that first innings when Australia were balled out for 104, but he is probably the best of the lot in the first innings. Unfortunate for him, the second innings didn't really work out the way he was hoping. But I definitely stick to Alex Carey given his current or most recent form before the Test series. So yeah, Alex Carey will get an order for the number 7 spot. Followed by the bowlers, like we already discussed, Cummins at 8, Stark 9, Lyman walking at 10, and then Scott Boland 11. So that's my playing 11 for both sides. Really looking forward to the second test. Like I said, they've had reasonably good break between the first and the second, an opportunity for both squads to have a nice break and revisit things. But yeah, we'll probably connect closer to in the second test, and probably have a look into the playing 11, and probably we can review in terms of how both teams can approach the second test. But until then, these are my thoughts. Like I always say, just my opinion. More than happy to take any feedback. I would like to listen to your thoughts, but I'm not like um, trying to force things in any way. It's just my opinion and something I'm kind of sharing with on my podcast. Look forward to connecting with you folks sooner than later, and I'm looking forward to some game time. We'd also probably look at in a couple of podcasts to kind of review or you know look at the recent IPL auction and the squads. But yeah, I'll probably bring in some guests to help me out there. But yeah, like I said, we'll probably touch base again and closer to the second test, which happens on the 6th of December. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.